Hi friends, happy Wind Down Wednesday. I'm so glad you're here with us this evening. Find someplace cozy to sit and we will get started. It's May. In May, we celebrate Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. It is celebrated every year in May, and it's a time to reflect on all of the contributions that generations of people have made to American history, society, and culture. We're so thankful that we have the opportunity to learn about Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander heritage. In class, we've been spending time learning about many people who have that heritage that contribute to our society. It's been really special because there are people in our class who have that heritage. One of the best ways to celebrate is to learn. And one of my favorite ways to learn with you is to read. This evening, we're going to be reading 3 books. This is the first time that I've ever read 3 books for Wind Down Wednesday. You're welcome to watch the whole video and listen to all 3 stories, or you're welcome to listen to a story this evening and pick 2 other evenings to listen to the other 2 stories. The 3 stories that we'll be listening to this evening are D is for Dragon Dance, Yoko, and Suki's Kimono. We're going to start with the story, Suki's Kimono. Suki's Kimono. With love and thanks to Mom, Dad, Kimmy, and Maki, and to Paul especially, to spunky little kids everywhere. Suki's Kimono. On the first day of school, Suki wanted to wear her kimono. Her sisters did not approve. I wonder if she'll take a responsible risk and wear it anyway. A kimono is a Japanese robe with wide sleeves. You can't wear that, said Mary. People will think you're weird. Is that a bucket-filling statement? When you're different, that makes you interesting. Also, a little weird is good. We would be very boring if we were all the same. You can't wear that, said Yumi. Everyone will laugh, and no one will play with you. You need something new, Suki. You need something cool. I think her choice is a beautiful and very cool option. Let's see if she takes a responsible risk and wears it. But Suki shook her head. She didn't care for new. She didn't care for cool. She wanted to wear her favorite thing. Do you have a favorite outfit? I really admire, which means I really think it's special and cool. When you have the confidence to wear whatever makes you happy. It might be the color pink or purple or green or yellow or red or orange or black or gray or white. And when you have the courage to wear whatever makes you happy, not your friends happy, but what makes you happy, I think that's really cool. She wanted to wear her favorite thing, and her favorite thing was her kimono. Hey, we have something on our multicultural shelf that wears a kimono. Suki's obashan, which is a word for grandmother, had given her the kimono. The first time Suki wore it, her obashan took her to a street festival where they slurped bowls of slippery, cold somen noodles and shared a cone of crunchy shaved ice topped with sweet red bean sauce. Somen is a fine noodle, which means it's a thin noodle. Give a connection wiggle if you like noodles. Under strings of paper lanterns, Suki joined her obashan in a circle dance. She followed her and copied her movements, trying to be as light and as graceful. She watched the other women and children who danced, especially those who were dressed in cotton kimonos, like her. There's beautiful fabrics that make up the kimonos. It reminds me of other items in our multicultural shelf, like this and this. Later, Suki sat so close to the stage that when the taiko drummers performed bum, 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 she felt like she'd swallowed a ball of thunder and her whole insides quaked and quivered. Taiko means Japanese drum. These are all Japanese words that are found in our story. Before they left the festival, Suki and her obashan stopped at a souvenir stand. There were many things to choose from, but her obashan found the prettiest thing of all, a handkerchief of pale pink linen, decorated with tiny maple leaves and cherry blossoms. When she gave it to Suki, she said, "This will help you remember our day." Now it was time for school. Mother checked Suki's obi. An obi is a kimono sash. She checked her obi one last time and took a picture of Mary, Yumi, and Suki together by the front steps. Then, as she watched, the three sisters made their way down the block to their school. Mary and Yumi stayed several paces ahead, or steps ahead, of Suki and pretended they didn't know her. What would you do if you were Suki's siblings? Would you show kindness by walking with her? It's Kindness Week at school. This is a great time to reflect or think about what you would do to show kindness. But Suki didn't mind. She turned and waved to her mother before she clip-clopped along in her shiny red geta, feeling very pleased in her fan-patterned blue kimono. Geta is the Japanese word for Japanese wooden clogs. I love her uniqueness and her bravery. Once in a while, Suki would lift her arms and let the butterfly sleeves flutter in the breeze. It made her feel like she'd grown her own set of wings. That reminds me of a student in class who recently created a butterfly using paper for me. When they reached the school, Mary and Yumi hurried across the yard to a group of their friends. Suki stopped and looked around. Some of the children turned and stared at her, and others giggled and pointed at her kimono. How would you show kindness if you saw someone wearing a kimono or unique clothing? It's so easy to show kindness using your words and actions. But Suki ignored them. She took a seat on a swing to wait for the bell. A girl dressed in overalls, just like a pair Suki had at home, sat on the swing beside her. "Hi, Suki," said the girl. "Hi, Penny," said Suki. "How come you're dressed so funny?" Penny asked. "Where did you get those shoes?" Suki lifted her feet off the sand and wiggled her toes. "I'm not dressed funny," she said. "My grandma gave me these shoes." Suki started pumping her legs. Raise your hand if you like going on the swings at recess. After a moment, Penny did the same, and soon they were both swinging as fast and as high as they could. Swoosh, swoosh, up and up. When the bell rang, Suki and Penny jumped off their swings and ran to the gym for the first day assembly. Assemblies are so much fun. We have a couple assemblies this week where we will show safety, respect, and responsibility while listening to people perform music for us. Once they were finally taken to their new classroom, Suki chose a desk near the window. Penny chose a desk next to Suki. Oh, sitting near someone is a great way to show kindness. As they waited for everyone to find a seat, two boys in front of Suki turned and snickered, which means laughed, behind their hands. Is that showing kindness? What would you do if you were students in her class? One of the boys reached over and snatched at Suki's sleeve. "Look at this," he said. "She's a bat." How do you think that made Suki feel? Suki felt her cheeks burn, so they were becoming red and hot, but she did not respond. Instead, she concentrated on sitting up straight and tall, the way her obashan, or grandmother, always did. It was easy to do with an obi, which is the sash for her kimono, wrapped snug around her middle. Her obi was golden yellow, and in its folds, Suki had tucked away her pale pink handkerchief. "Welcome to first grade," said the teacher. "My name is Mrs. Paggio." She smiled. "Let's introduce ourselves and tell everyone what we did this summer." When it was her turn to speak, Suki stood up and told her teacher her name. "Hello, Suki," said Mrs. Paggio. "What did you do this summer?" My grandma visited us, she said, straightening her sleeves. She brought me my kimono and my geta. Suki raised her foot to show the teacher her wooden clog. What's your prediction about how Mrs. Paggio will respond? Do you think she will show kindness? Somewhere in the classroom, someone laughed, but Suki took a deep breath and continued. We often take deep breaths in school. Let's do one together. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it. Straw breathe out. The best thing was that she took me to a festival, and there were dancing girls dressed like me, and they danced like this. She took a few steps and swayed her arms sideways. I like how all of her classmates are facing forward while listening. Look now. She's dancing, someone said, but Suki didn't hear. So someone called out while Suki was in the spotlight. She hummed the music she remembered hearing at the festival. She remembered how it felt to dance barefoot in the open air on fresh-cut grass that tickled her toes. She tried to picture the other dancers, how they moved forward in the circle with the rhythm of the music, how they stamped their feet first right, then left, swung their arms first up, then down, how they stepped back, then clapped. When Suki couldn't remember the next step, she made it up just to keep dancing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, stop. She's so brave performing in front of her classmates. When she finished, the room seemed very quiet. Everyone was watching her. What would you do if Suki performed for our class? What could you do to celebrate her bravery? Would you treat her the way you would want someone to treat you? With respect? Suki sat down, wondering if she was in trouble. But Mrs. Paggio said, "That was wonderful, Suki." And she started to clap. Then so did Penny. And after a moment, so did the entire class. We often clap for students at school. It helps them feel welcomed. After school, as the three sisters walked home together, Mary and Yumi grumbled about their first day. "No one even noticed my new sweater," said Mary. "No one even noticed my cool shoes," said Yumi. But Suki just smiled. Why do you think Suki was smiling? As she clip-clopped along behind them, Suki pulled out the pale pink handkerchief from her obi and held it up over her head to catch the wind, and in her blue cotton kimono and in her shiny red geta, Suki danced all the way home. I loved the bravery that Suki showed in this story. Can you think of a time when you were brave? It's so special to be exactly who you are because it's unique and special. The next story we're going to listen to is called Yoko. It's by Rose Marie Wells. Many of you like sushi in class. I wonder if it will mention sushi in this story. Yoko. Yoko. "What would you like for lunch today, my little cherry blossom?" asked Yoko's mother. "All my favorite things, please." answered Yoko. Yoko's mother spread steamed rice on a bamboo mat. She rolled up a secret treasure inside each piece. Then she packed it all in a willow-covered cooler. Raise your hand if you like sushi. Touch your nose if you want to try it someday. Have a wonderful day at school, my little cherry blossom, said Yoko's mother. I will, answered Yoko. Yoko said hello to all her friends. Everyone in Mrs. Jenkins' class sang the good morning song. At noon, Mrs. Jenkins rang the lunch bell. Lunch boxes out and open, please, boys and girls, said Mrs. Jenkins. Timothy unwrapped a peanut butter and honey sandwich. Valerie had cream cheese and jelly. Fritz had a meatball grinder. Tulip had Swiss cheese on rye. Hazel had egg salad on pumpernickel. Doris, which is the name of my grandmother, had squeeze cheese on white. And the Franks had Franks, which is a fancy word for hot dog, and beans. Yoko opened the willow-covered cooler. Inside was her favorite sushi. Tucked in the rice rolls were the crispiest cucumber, the pinkest shrimp, the greenest seaweed, and the tastiest tuna. What's in your lunch? Asked one of the Franks. Ick! It's green! It's seaweed! How do you think that comment made Yoko feel? Oh, no, said the other Frank. Don't tell me that's raw fish. Watch out, it's moving, said Doris. Yuckarama, said Tulip and Fritz. Valerie blew the playtime whistle. Everybody out, said Valerie. It looks like Yoko's bucket was dipped. Yoko did not want to play ball or swing on the swings. What's wrong, Yoko? Asked Mrs. Jenkins. Everybody laughed at my lunch, answered Yoko. They'll forget about it by snack time, said Mrs. Jenkins. But they didn't. During the snack time song, Yoko opened a thermos cup of red bean ice cream. Red bean ice cream is for weirdos. Oh my, name-calling. That's what the Franks snorted. Mrs. Jenkins switched to the friendly song. Mrs. Jenkins knew the friendly song was not enough. Late into the evening, she fretted, she worried about Yoko. Finally, the answer came to her. Dear parents, Monday will be International Food Day at Hilltop School. Everyone is asked to bring in a dish from a foreign country. Everyone must try a bite of everything. Happy cooking, Mrs. Jenkins. Ooh, so students will be expected to take responsible risks by trying new foods. We will make a deluxe sushi for the whole class, said Yoko's mother. Don't worry, my little cherry blossom. Everyone will try our sushi and everyone will love it. How do you think Yoko feels about that idea? On Monday morning, Valerie and her mother carried in a plate of enchiladas. Timothy and his mother made Caribbean coconut crisps. Hazel brought Nigerian nut soup. Harry brought Brazil nuts. Doris brought Irish stew. Tulip brought potato niches. Monica brought a pitcher of mango smoothies. Fritz brought spaghetti. Big Frank cooked up a pot of Boston Franks and beans. At noon, Mrs. Jenkins rang the lunch bell, and everyone sang the clean hand song. What does International Food Day mean to us, boys and girls? Asked Mrs. Jenkins. Try everything, said everybody. When Valerie blew the playtime whistle, there was not a nibble of nuts or a sip of smoothie left. So it sounds like many classmates were interested in the nuts and the smoothie. But no one had touched even one piece of Yoko's sushi. So no one took a responsible risk by trying her food. How do you think that made Yoko feel? Yoko sat under the learning tree. Suddenly she heard the clickety-clack, clickety-click of chopsticks. It was Timothy. He was still hungry. Let me show you how, said Yoko. Touch your ear if you've ever used chopsticks. Timothy polished off the rest of the crab cones his own way. Can we have sushi again tomorrow? He said. So if he's asking for more sushi, do you think he liked it? I'll ask my mother, asked Yoko. During the school bus song, Timothy found a coconut crisp in his pocket. He gave it to Yoko. Oh, he's showing kindness. It's even better than red bean ice cream, said Yoko. On the bus, Timothy and Yoko made plans to push their desks together and to open a restaurant the very next day. And they did. They ordered tomato sandwiches and dragon rolls. I love dragon rolls. For dessert, they had brownies with green tea ice cream, and they couldn't have asked for anything more. Here's the menu they created. Oh, they were really creating, imagining, and innovating, which is one of the skills that we practiced this school year. Speaking of creating, imagining, and innovating, the theme for this Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month is advancing leaders through innovation. In school, we learned about Chef Joyce Chen today, and she was an innovator. She brought the concept of the all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet from Beijing, China, to the United States, more specifically, Massachusetts. We also discussed in school about how we are innovators. That means that you thought of an idea that no one else has. Tell someone at home a time when you've been an innovator. The last story we're listening to this evening is called D is for Dragon Dance. D is for Dragon Dance. A is for acrobats. B is for balls. Acrobats are flexible and strong. They are masters of balance. People watch them to celebrate the coming of the new year. C is for calligraphy. Let's write the characters for good luck. Don't get the ink on your new clothes. On our multicultural shelf, we have calligraphy. This is the symbol for happiness. It's written using calligraphy. This is the Chinese symbol for happiness. D is for dragon dance. When we were learning about the Lunar New Year, we learned about the Chinese dragon. E is for evil spirits. F is for firecrackers. Dragon, dancers, and firecrackers scare away evil spirits. G is for Grandma and Grandpa. Grandma and Grandpa decorate their home with traditional cut paper and calligraphy to honor the new year. Earlier this week, we learned about an artist who creates amazing artwork using paper. H is for haircut. Children get their hair washed and cut and put on new clothes for a fresh start to the new year. I is for incense. J is for jade. Chinese people burn incense and wear jade to protect themselves from evil. K is for kites. L is for lanterns. We designed many lanterns this school year. Chinese people believe that flying kites and lantern lights scare away evil spirits. M is for moon. Chinese New Year starts with a new moon. N is for noodles. Eat noodles for a long, happy life. O is for oranges. Bring oranges to your friends' houses. They represent good fortune. P is for Peking duck. A whole roasted duck means happiness. Q is for quiz. Solve the tricky quiz and you may win a big prize. R is for red envelopes. Children receive red envelopes that contain good luck money. S is for steamed dumplings. Eat these special treats to begin the new year. T is for tradition. Chinese people all over the world follow similar New Year's traditions. U is for unity. Chinese families unite for the New Year's feast. V is for veneration. Families venerate or show respect to their ancestors or the family members that lived before them at New Year's. W is for wish. The New Year is a time to give good wishes. X is for xylograph, which are wood carvings on the door. They help keep out evil spirits. Y is for yo-yos. New Year's is a good time to play. Chinese yo-yos fly so high they might reach the sky. Z is for zodiac. The Chinese calendar follows a 12-year cycle. Each year is represented by a different animal. Do you know the sign for your birthday? We explored this 12-year cycle earlier this school year. Can you find the year that you were born? Here's a note from the author. The Chinese lunar calendar is based on the phases of the moon and follows a 12-year cycle, with each year represented by a different animal. Traditions for the new year are carefully followed during the celebration, which lasts for 15 days. The most important part of the festivities, the New Year parades, feature dancing dragons, symbols of goodness and strength. Here are some tips to ensure good fortune in the new year. You can pause the video and read about them. Here is some calligraphy. You may notice the Chinese characters that appear in the background of the pages we read in this book. Here's a delicious recipe if you're interested in making New Year's dumpling delight. Thank you for celebrating Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. A great way to celebrate is by remaining open to continuous learning about cultures that you connect to and cultures that are new to you. I continue to love learning with you about the Heritage Months, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.